Mannequin.
I am not a psychic. I have never seen a ghost, nor have I heard its voice. However, I had a very scary experience once when I was in junior high school. When I was in the second year of junior high school, my father died in a car accident and I had to move to my mother's house. My grandfather had also passed away a long time ago, so it was just my grandmother, my mother, and me. The shock of my father's death and the new environment made me feel uneasy, but my classmates welcomed me warmly. Among them, Sanae was especially friendly. At school, she showed me her textbooks, gave me a tour of the school, and was always there to talk to me after school. As I got to know Sanae better, I began to open up to my other classmates, and within 2 months, I was able to fit in well at school. In my classroom, there was a cute girl named Natsuki. Even as a girl, she was so small and cute that I wanted to protect her. We happened to be in the same group when we switched seats, and I started talking to Natsuki. Natsuki had a single-parent family just like mine, and I gradually felt closer to her. Well, in Natsuki's case, the reason was not parting in death, but divorce. When I found out that she was in the same situation as me, I wanted to get to know her better. However, it was only for a short time before I went to her house to visit her. One day, I had to go to Natsuki's house. I don't remember why. I think it was because it was a long time ago, and more importantly because the scene I saw at her house was so intense that I was confused. The day I went to Natsuki's house, Sanae went with me. Sanae didn't like Natsuki very much, and she didn't like the fact that I was getting along with Natsuki. But I still can't remember why Sanae came along with me. Anyway, Sanae and I went to visit Natsuki's house. Natsuki's house was an old one-story house with warped wooden walls, and although it was a house, there was no garden and only a small gap between it and the neighboring house. To be honest, I felt it was old-fashioned, but then again, my grandmother's house was old-fashioned, too, and it was no wonder that life was difficult for a single-parent family. Natsuki greeted me at the door. When we entered the house, a beautiful woman came out from the back room and bowed deeply to Sanae and me. She seemed to be in the middle of taking in the laundry and had a towel and underwear hanging in her hands. The woman was Natsuki's mother. Natsuki's mother looked kind of happy to see her. I think that's because Natsuki doesn't bring many friends over to her house. She herself said that she doesn't invite many people to her house. When I entered Natsuki's room, I was surprised. To be honest, I had imagined that Natsuki's room would be tattered and ungirlish, since the house was so old-fashioned. I told her that Natsuki was a very cute girl, and she seemed to be very careful about her fashion, and her room was much more girly than I expected, with a brightly colored bed and stuffed animals on the shelves. Except for one thing. There was a man standing in the corner of the room, looking at me. No, more correctly, it was a male mannequin. I still have the image of the mannequin in my mind's eye. It was a mannequin, so of course his face was neat and clean. So it was eerie to see him looking straight at us with an emotionless gaze. The mannequin's arms were bent and spread out to the side in a W-like shape. It was wearing a bright red sweatshirt and a hat. It looked much more expensive than the clothes the lady had worn earlier. Sanae and I were stunned, but Natsuki didn't seem to care as she approached the mannequin and adjusted the angle of the hat. I got goosebumps from her natural behavior. "Isn't that cool?" Natsuki said in an emotionless tone. I felt fear in my heart. "Thank you for coming." Natsuki's mother came into the room with a cake and tea. I felt relieved from the unsettling atmosphere. Sanae took the plates from her and placed them on the table. I held out my hand to help her, but then I realized that there were enough cakes and tea for all 4 of us. I wondered if Natsuki's mother was going to eat it too. As I was thinking about this, she smiled and placed the cake and tea on Natsuki's desk. It was right next to the mannequin. Natsuki was staring at the mannequin. I could only see her hair. Suddenly, she turned around and started eating the cake without a care in the world. I thought I had come to the wrong place. It seems that this family treats it like a human being. They dress the mannequins in expensive clothes and offer them cakes. But neither of them would talk to it. I wonder what they think it is. If they thought it was human, they would have introduced it to us. The half-heartedness of it makes me feel even more uncomfortable. I was drenched in sweat under my clothes. There was something wrong with this house. I desperately tried to shake off the feeling and looked for something to talk about. I found a birdcage in the corner of the room. I would keep my mind off the mannequins. I felt that I would feel safer if I talked to her as usual. "Do you have a bird?" "They're gone." "Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't need it anymore." "You don't need it anymore?" That's a weird thing to say. I don't feel any love for the bird I had. I want to go home. If I stay in this house any longer, I'm going to go crazy. Just then, Sanae stood up and said, "Where is the restroom?" Natsuki replied, "It's right across the hall, just outside." Sanae quickly left the room. I was a little angry with her for running away on her own. No matter what I say, I can't communicate with Natsuki anymore. I'm sure I'll only get strange answers from her. I kept looking down. It was only a few minutes, but it felt like a very long time had passed. I heard the sound of running down the hallway. Sanae walked into the room and said to me, "I'm going home now," she said to me. Sanae's face was completely pale. Sanae's face was pale and she was staring at my face, never looking at Natsuki. "Welcome back," Natsuki said. I almost screamed at the misplaced words. Sanae tugs on my hand and tries to lead me outside. I wanted to tell Natsuki's mother that I was leaving, even if it was just a formality. I wasn't brave enough to face her, but the sliding door across from Natsuki's room was slightly open, so I tried to call out to her from outside the room. At that moment, a hand reached out and closed the sliding door with great force. We left Natsuki's house as if we were running away. I kept running like crazy. Sanae continued to run at full speed, not saying a word, as if she wanted to get away from us as much as possible. When we finally reached a place where we felt safe, we stopped and caught our breath. "No more friendships with Natsuki," Sanae said. "That house is insane. Natsuki is insane. But Natsuki's mother is the most insane. That was completely..." She continued. Sanae started to talk about what happened when she went to the bathroom. When Sanae left the room, the sliding door next to her was open. As she walked past, she casually looked inside the room. There were 4 or 5 mannequin arms lying on the floor. Natsuki's mother was sitting on a cushion right next to them, licking the mannequin's arms like crazy. Sanae went to the bathroom in fear, and on her way back, she passed by the room again. When she glanced at it, her eyes met Natsuki's mother's, who was staring at her. Her eyes were emotionless, like those of a mannequin. Where the mannequin's arms had been, there was a pile of laundry. "Ma, where is the mannequin?" Sanae blurted out. Natsuki's mother said nothing, but smiled silently at her. Right after that, she rushed to Natsuki's room and tried to take me out. The events of that day were so horrible that I stopped talking to Natsuki as much as I should have. I wondered if I should tell this story to everyone, but I decided not to. I don't think anyone would believe me. I asked a friend of Natsuki's about her house another day, and she said she had never seen anything strange. Now, more than 10 years have passed since then, and I can look back calmly. I still don't know what the hell it was. If the family wanted to hide the mannequin, Why did they show it to Sanae as well as to me, who was a good friend of theirs? No matter how much I think about it, I can't come up with a satisfactory answer. Now that I think about it, I've never seen a mannequin with a W-shaped arm. It would be impossible to dress it. But that red trainer fit the mannequin perfectly. It was as if I had put it on myself. That's all I have to say about my experience. Thanks for watching this video. How did you like this story? If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. If you have any feedback on this video, please leave me a comment down below. I'll see you in the next video.